this question is going to change your life. What happens when you stop asking for permission and start creating your own opportunities? Last week, I was talking to a friend who has been getting ready to launch her business for 3 years. She has the perfect website mock-ups, a detailed business plan, professional photos, certification, but she's also applying for jobs that she previously said she hated, waiting for the right moment that apparently requires a solar eclipse in her horoscope to say, today's the day. It got me thinking about the stories that we tell ourselves about readiness, about safety, about doing things the right way. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that preparation equals protection, that if we just plan enough, research enough, save enough, we can somehow guarantee our success before we even start. But I gotta tell you that guarantee does not exist. I think that's backwards. What if the very act of waiting for certainty is what keeps us stuck in patterns that don't serve us? And sometimes the biggest shift isn't just about changing what you do. It's about changing who you surround yourself with.
Get away from the people that are telling you not to believe in yourself. Divorce the ones that are in your life that are dragging you down so they could fit in with you, and engage with the people that will say you can do it. Your biggest, most powerful thing you have is your relationships and that proximity who you hang around. People that are broke will give you advice. People that are successful will give you experience. That's the difference. Whatever person out there that I want to meet, there's nothing in this world that will stop me from meeting the person I want to be around. Period. If I see somebody and I want to meet them, I guarantee I'm going to put it out there. One way or another. I always wanted to be, I'd love to meet Robert Kiyosaki and tour with him. That was the one thing I wanted to do. Make it happen. Now I'm involved in them even more.
I met today's guest early this year when we were both speaking at the same event. And what struck me wasn't his success stories, though there are plenty and he's going to tell you all about them. It was his complete absence of that internal negotiation that the rest of us do. You know, that voice that goes, but what if I fail spectacularly and everyone judges me and my mother was right about my life choices? He seems to have deleted that app entirely. Well, since January, he's become someone that I call when my own inner saboteur gets loud. Maybe it helps that he's a hypnotist, but there's also something deeper happening. He operates from a frequency where life is always working in his favor, where obstacles are just information, where giving value is the fastest path to receiving it. Here's what I've learned from studying people who create really extraordinary results. They don't wait for life to happen to them. They understand that consciousness is creative, that our inner state shapes our outer reality, and that taking aligned action before you feel ready is actually how you build trust with yourself and with life. So this isn't about being reckless or making decisions that would give your financial advisor a heart attack. It's more about recognizing that the safety we think we're creating by waiting is often just another form of prison with really nice pillows. It's about understanding that your willingness to move through uncertainty is actually how your soul expands beyond its current limitations. So today, our guest is Mark Yuzuik, a transformational speaker and master hypnotist who's motivated and entertained hundreds of thousands of people throughout the world for more than 25 years. His come-up story is absolutely incredible. And to me, he's living proof that when you stop waiting for permission, life starts saying yes in ways you never expect. People pay him 5 figures to hear him speak for an hour. And so open your mind and try to absorb his a little, because if you're anything like me, it might just change how you engage with your own life. So in this episode, you're going to learn why waiting for certainty keeps you broke and what to do instead, the magic of giving before getting, and how to delete your inner what-if voice and start trusting life's intelligence. Can we talk about back-to-school chaos for a second? The kids are getting back into routines, everyone's schedules are crazy, and suddenly you're supposed to have dinner on the table every night like some kind of magician. But want to know what I figured out? Shopping, planning, and cooking food really can be simple and stress-free, which is why I love Hungry Root. Hungry Root takes the stress out of mealtime by filling your cart with personalized picks and planning your week of meals, getting smarter with every order. With over 15,000 recipes to choose from each week, many ready in just 15 minutes or less, it's a huge lifesaver on those busy weeknights. I personally love their smart cart technology. It learns what I actually like and then recommends groceries, recipes, and supplements tailored to my tastes and needs. Plus, I love the kids' snack section where I get these really easy snacks to just keep in the car or throw in our to-go bags or lunch boxes for those of you who need them. They screen out over 200 additives, including high fructose corn syrup and artificial sweeteners. They only source high-quality meat and seafood with no hormones or antibiotics, and they carry trusted brands like Oatly and Vital Farms. The time that I have gotten back has been incredible. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/mindlove and use code MINDLOVE. That's hungryroot.com/mindlove, code MINDLOVE to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/mindlove, code MINDLOVE. Welcome to the show, Mark. I'm so grateful to have you here. I met you earlier this year, and just every conversation seems to spark something in me, so I couldn't wait to bring you on. But I'm curious of what your story is and how you were led to the path of hypnosis.
It's so funny. I literally was just in the kitchen with Michael Nitti, who he always speaks with me on the stage and all that when I have my events. He's one with Tony Robbins he was Tony Robbins' #1 coach for years. And he said, "How did you ever get into hypnosis?" I said, "Michael, the story that I tell on stage is exactly the truth, word for word. I still see myself, feel myself. My brother convinced me to go to the fair. And, I remember going there. I couldn't believe what I saw. I wanted to know if it was real." He said, "Absolutely." Long story short, I wanted him to train me. I learned what hypnosis was. He sent me to a school. And when I remember going and making a deal with him. I said, how do I get you to train me?" He says, "Zach, that's easy. I'll train you." I said, "All right, what is it?" He goes, "It's 30,000 a month." I'm thinking, yeah, okay. So what I heard was he just wants a value. I got to provide a value of 30,000. It could be a cash. It could be something of more value. And if you know me, I always believe in two philosophies: overpromise, overdeliver. Now you'll figure out, your brain kicks into gear and it says, "We'll figure this out." 30,000 is a minimum. We got to go above that. And I remember the guy that taught me real estate, I used to hound him to teach me how he did it. And he got so sick of it that he turned me over to a guy that really did it. And he taught me real estate. So whenever I see something I want, either you're going to train me or you're going to get a restraining order. I'm not going to leave you because I want to learn how to do this. Well, Paul Simon was like my dad. He was the very first infomercial out. Well, he started doing infomercials. And I remember calling and says, "Hey, Paul, would you do an infomercial on a hypnotist?" He goes, "Well, heck, that sounds interesting." I said, "Would you give me 5% of everything you made if I could hook it up with the right hypnotist, one of the best in the business?" "Well, sure, I would, son." Okay. So I get a hold of Terry Stokes and I go, "Hey, Stokes, would you be interested in doing an infomercial if it cost you nothing?" He goes, "Well, heck yeah, I would, man." I says, "Well, would you give me 5% of of everything you make?" He goes, "Well, sure." I go, "That way I can pay you your 30 grand. See?" So that's how I put it together. And I still remember, Melissa. So me and Paul went and drove to Terry Stokes was doing a show at a college in Sierra Vista, Arizona, which is nothing. I mean, it's way out there, right? And I remember I just told this story to Michael too, like 5 minutes ago. I remember I wanted to do hypnosis because I thought it was fun, not for money. Hey, get out of real estate and do hypnosis. And I remember when he said, we did a college show and he had so much fun in that hour. And I says, "Paul, I'm going to ride with Terry. We're going to go do another college show down the road about 30 minutes. I want to ride with Terry and just talk to him." He says, "All right." So I get in the motorhome with him. And this was 1991. And I remember going to, then I said, going to the next college, I said, Terry, can I ask you a private personal question? He goes, sure. I says, how much can you make doing this? I mean, can you make a living doing this? He just kind of laughs and goes, yeah, you make a living. I says, well, like that show you just did, like, how much did you really get for doing that? He goes, well, you make 3,500 for that. And I says, no, 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 you're not understanding. I says, I mean, not like a month. How much can you make? Like you do a show, like you're going to do another show. He goes, yeah. I says, well, how much can you make on like the shows that you're doing? 3,500. I said, for the whole week? He says, no. I said, okay, I'm not saying it right. That show you just did, we just left, they gave you a check. How much was the check? He goes, $3,500. I didn't care how embarrassed, how much I had to bomb, how much I had to fail. I was moving forward. Now I found something I really wanted to do, I love to do, had fun doing it, and I can make a living doing it, even better than a living. And that was how I got started and how I started doing. Here's what, then there's another turning point, right, Melissa? So I'm doing a show in San Diego. Marshall Silver, he does seminars. He does shows and seminars. And I remember we had 2,000 people at the event, right? We sold it out. And he said, how much money do you try to get selling like your cassette? At that time, it was cassettes and videos. I says, oh, I try to make about $2 a head. So if I could pull 4,000 in the back end for this one show, because I already got $20 a head for being here. He says, that's okay. I says, why? How much do you make do your seminars? He goes, well, I get $800 a head. I said, what? I just, I said, Marshall, you're making how much? He says, 800 a head. So he invited me. This was in 2004, February 14th in Orlando. He says, come down to Russ Whitney event. I'm speaking there. And I already saw a show. And I remember him getting up there the next day. There was probably about 1,000 people in the room. I kid you not. I watched with my own eyes him pull $500,000, 475,000 out of that room in 90 minutes. He said, Mark, I'm going to tell you something. You're one of the greatest entertainers I've ever met, hypnotist-wise. You're the only one I'd ever recommend, but you got a talent that's above and beyond. You can help people get to the next level other than just make them laugh. You can change your life, and you'll be paid well for it. That's when I started learning about interventions and just really studied behaviors and patterns in people because I understood that we could take it to the next level. And so I started getting into doing seminars and things, and that's how that started. Isn't that crazy? I mean, the paths. And Michael was saying, how do you get on your path? I said, you just have the intention that's what you're supposed to do, and that's what you want to do. It was never about, like for me, hypnosis was never about the money. However, when I heard about it, now it's even more motivating because now I saw a way I could get to it faster and still support my needs that I met, paying bills and things like that. So now we're lucky to go all over the place. Actually, meeting with Robert Kiyosaki on Tuesday, doing stuff, an event where he's doing some filming, I'm doing some filming with him. So things like that just happen when you're in the right intention.
Well, and that's what I'm hearing is so often people look at other people with big lives doing amazing things and they're like, how did they get there? And when they think of their story, well, maybe they were looking through job ads and then they went to a job and it's like they're still taking little actions, but it's like they're just waiting for what's available. You seem to have a little more intention there and seeing, wait, that is a bigger opportunity. If I'm going to go for anything, I'm going to go for that one. How do you feel like you cultivated that kind of mindset? It's something that people ask me a lot too, because I tend to just be bold in asking for what I want. And
Right.
A lot of people don't feel like they have it. Is it something that was natural or did you cultivate it over the years?
I don't know, natural or not natural. You got to remember, I left home at 12 years old. I didn't have a place where I can go back to. I was raised in a cult. So, when you're on your own, you have a choice to make. Everything's a choice. And the choice is, how do you want to live? What influences you is how much you're going to listen to other people and in the world that's going to either tear you down or bring you up. See, I didn't care what people thought. I knew that, you know what, I know what I want. And we still come through the natural, oh my God, is this going to be right? Is this not going to be right? So we still have the same fear. The only difference is you have to want something bad enough or hate where you're at bad enough. And that's what's going to drive you. And it doesn't matter which one motivates you. It's what do you want? Everybody's so scared to take that step. And even to this day, sometimes I'm intimidated. It's like, man, I'm supposed to be talking to Andrew from Aspire about getting on the stage, and I get the text and I don't send it. I go, well, maybe I don't want to bug him. But every time I send him a text, he responds back. I'm thinking, what the frick's wrong with me? So I still go through the same challenges as well. But anything I ever wanted, I always thought this. You know what? I'm going to do whatever I have to do, and people aren't willing to do what it takes to make it. You don't, they're all wait till one door closes, the other one opens. Here's the deal. That's not true, Melissa. You know what? Here's the deal. If you know behind that door, there's an opportunity for you, no matter how small it is, and you wait for it to open, so are everybody else in that hallway waiting. You got to open that door yourself. If it's locked, pick the lock. If you can't go through the door, then go through the window. Find your way in there. Do whatever you got to do to make it. And if you're not willing to do that, then you don't deserve the right to be successful and be in that category. When I surround myself and I talk to people about what they have to do to make it, real people have made it. You know how many actually grew up with having it? Not very many. The ones that made it, you know how many times they lost it? Average 2 or 3. They get it back. I literally, when I toured with Kiyosaki, I knew this in advance. Robert doesn't like hypnotists. Okay. And it's not a personal thing. I think it was an issue between him and another hypnotist, ego, whatever you want to call it. Well, I knew that going in. And when I remember we were in London, I said, hey, I'm going to introduce everybody. He goes to everybody. What do you do? He comes to me. He goes, why ain't I introducing no hypnotist? And he walked off. And I thought he was joking. And the Richard Tan says, Mark, I'll introduce you. And I'm like, what did I do? He goes, don't worry about it. It's nothing. But his whole staff was saying, you don't know, you're reading Mark wrong. You're reading Mark wrong. And I was always nice to him. It wasn't until I remember in the van, and he got to warm up to me. He goes, I got to come see your show. And I remember I was in the van and I said, you know what the problem with today, the people with the problem today is, Robert? I said, they're not willing to do what it takes. Do you know what it took for me to do real estate? What I did was I sold my car to buy a bicycle, to ride it to work every day, to save $20 a week so I could save up $500 to go to those 2-day seminars, how to get rich in real estate. And when I saved up enough money, I went there. And I still needed to know more information. I owned a VCR and I had a microwave oven. And at the time, a microwave oven back in the 80s, early 80s, was financed. My VCR was probably worth $700-800 at the time. Back then, they were worth something. And I tried to get Paul Simon to train me. He says, go to Randy Huggins. He's one of his speakers. He wrote a course on get rich in foreclosures. It was $295. He said, well, I'd consider training you, but do you have my course? I said, no. He goes, well, bring me $300 over. And I'm thinking, I don't have fucking $300. Where am I going to get that kind of money, He says, well, what do you got to trade? I says, well, Randy, I got a VCR and a microwave, and the microwave's financed. He says, bring me your VCR over. So I got in the car. I bought a $300 car. I got in there, went over there. He gave me the stuff. He says, when you listen to it, you can call me when you're done, and I'll think about it. I stayed up nonstop, all day, all night, listened to it. Called him the next day. Actually, it was a day and a half, 2 days later. And I said, I listened to it. He goes, no, you didn't. He says, that everybody takes a couple weeks. I says, well, not everybody. He says, no way. I went over to his house and I refused to leave. I says, you're going to train me. And I remember 1984, I bought my first house. 1985, I bought 9 houses. Once Terry trained me, I went to 9 houses, 36 houses, 70-some houses. And it's because I did whatever it took. I didn't say I didn't have it. Just like with Terry, they want a value. What value do they want? $300. No, that's a number. So you want something more valuable than $300. So my commitment to Terry and to Randy and to whoever else was, I'm not going to give you what you expect. I'm going to give you more. That's why I always say overpromise, over deliver. Because at that point, and I would be relentless. There's a TV commercial out. I think it's called Progresso. Don't be like your parents, And this guy follows up to the bathroom and all that. That was me. That was me. I would follow these people to the bathroom. Hey, what about this? He goes, can I use the restroom? I'll come out in a second. And I used to bug them, but they respected that because I wasn't going to give up. I didn't have that right to give up. I remember that, no, I didn't get anything handed to me. Nobody gave me nothing. Heck, I remember, man, my air conditioner out in Phoenix. Well, it was $500 to buy a part. I didn't have it. So I would lay down with a wet towel on my chest every night in the summer until I had enough money to buy the air conditioner. So that's when nobody's got your back. You got to make it. And when you get in that situation, you say, I will never, ever live like this again. And that drives you to make it. So inspiration, desperation, call it what you want. You got to keep moving forward, though. And when you create that in your mind and you focus on what you want, why you want it, your brain will figure out how to get it. It'll always look at the how to get it. Everyone stops and they go, wow, let me get everything organized first. I got to make sure all my ducks in a row before I start something. No, start it wrong. Do it wrong so you have something to correct, so you've got some momentum. Bad momentum is better than no momentum, as long as it's done with integrity.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Let's be real about something. Workplace stress is not just part of the job anymore. 61% of people are dealing with stress levels that are way beyond normal, and it is not sustainable. I used to think that grinding through stress was some kind of badge of honor. Push harder, sleep less, ignore what your body was telling you. And it nearly broke me when I was working for startups. And look, maybe that voice in your head telling you to make a change is right. Maybe you do need to quit your job or completely flip your life. But whether you're making big moves or just trying to survive your current situation, you need tools to handle it well. And that's where therapy comes in. Modern therapy teaches you how to set boundaries without the guilt, how to trust your intuition instead of second-guessing yourself constantly, how to make better decisions from a place of clarity instead of chaos. And BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform with over 30,000 therapists. They've got a 4.9 rating from 1.7 million reviews because it actually works. You can talk to someone from anywhere, and you can switch therapists anytime if it's not the right fit. A vacation won't fix chronic stress, but the right support can help you navigate whatever comes next. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. My listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/mindlove. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/mindlove. Yeah, and you learn so much. I used to be like that, or it wasn't actually very long because I could feel that it wasn't working, but I wanted to do everything the right way and set everything up as perfect as it could be so I didn't have to go back. And I realized that usually in those instances, I had to go back even more often because I didn't know enough to ever set it up the right way. And so I would learn things as I went. I still learn things as I go. I am learning things and making changes to things I set up 5 years ago when I was already 2 years into the business. But it's funny because 2 years ago, I actually was sending out some emails sharing how I got started with my podcast. And one of the parts of the story is Pat Flynn sent an email saying he had a podcasting course. And I just decided that weekend I was going to start a podcast. And so it felt like divine alignment. And he had his online version for about $500, I think, and then an in-person option for the weekend for $3,000. And I had no money at this time. We were living as newlyweds in like a 250 square foot apartment that we had to like build a loft to fit a bed. It was wild. And so I opened a credit card and did the $3,000 one because I knew this was his first podcasting course. He's going to be looking for testimonials. I'm going to be the star student and I'm going to get to know him. And so when I went and to the in-person thing, I just made sure to give as much value as I could, show what I knew on my end, be the star student, just like I said I would be. And I ended up joining him on stage for his keynote, a podcast movement. He invited me onto his podcast. And I got multiple emails from people back when I shared this story saying, how dare you? I used to love you, but now you're telling people to just open credit cards when they have no money. And I said, this is my story that I'm sharing, first of all. Second of all, I don't discourage people from doing that, but you have to know that you're not going to do that and then sit on the couch and watch TV for the next 3 months instead of putting everything you have into that thing that you just invested in yourself for.
Yeah. What that tells me, and as soon as you say that, what that tells me is this is the typical person. They want to get money so someone else will do it for them because they don't want to be accountable because they know they won't make it. That is a mindset of a consumer, not an investor. I'm not going to invest in somebody that's not willing to invest in themselves. When you did that and you showed up, you'd be the person I would back because you have drive, you have determination, you have reasons why. Those that said that to you, that means that no matter how much they invest, they will never, ever, ever make it because they don't have that mindset. And they're talking about don't want to get in debt. You don't want to get in debt? Do you own a car? Did you buy a car? Did you finance it? So you'll get in debt for things that lose money, but you don't believe enough in yourself to go, hell yeah, I'll invest $3,000 in myself because I know what I'm capable of doing. And they know what they're not capable of doing. So when those people say that, it doesn't even affect me. I go, it's not a deal for you. Everybody's different. I would not get in debt if I were you either, because you ain't going to do nothing with your life. So that tells me so much about people. When somebody says, I remember we were doing a podcast with Sam Crawley, and this guy says, well, the pandemic's coming, right? This was the day before the pandemic. And he goes, I got $3,000, but I got to save it for bills. I said, you're not coming in my event. I said, I wouldn't let you in. He goes, what are you talking about? I go, you don't believe in yourself. I said that now, this is the time. You're going to spend $3,000 on a bill instead of investing in yourself. Why would I want you in my event? I said, for you even to consider it, you better freaking sell me hard, dude. And I still remember that guy. So he finally just said, you got to let me in. He skyrocketed. He started his own podcast. He probably made more money than he's ever made in his life because of that. Now, he had the road to choice where he was going to go consumer or mindset. I says, nobody in this group, I'm not going to allow to have a consumer mindset. Do you know there were 9 people there? 3 did not buy, 6 bought, all 6 prospered, and all 3 that didn't buy because they didn't want to spend the $3,000 during COVID, every one of them are in worse place. That's the mindset. That's the idea of you got to know. If you're not willing to believe in yourself and invest in yourself, listen, why would I? Why would you? Why would the speaker? If you're not, I'm getting ready to do an event, Spire, and everyone's always like, you got to, how much money can I make on your stage? Why don't you look at it differently? What if we looked at it like, how much money can I help that promoter make? So no matter what happens, it's not how much he's getting. When somebody talks to him, he gets to brag about, you got to have Mark Yuzuik on your stage. That son of a bitch will close like nobody. He's going to make you more money. That's what you do. That's how I built my career in hypnosis. Everybody's a hypnotist, and a show's a show. So what makes me different? Well, I'll tell you what. You find out reasons why you give more value to the customer and to the person hiring you, and they will absolutely hire you every single time. So I went out, I got an interpreter for the deaf. And guess who got the publicity for that? The fair. Who else valued from that? The deaf community. What happened to deaf community? We had more deaf people at our show. Why? Because they can see it so they weren't blind, so they could hear through the interpreter. We went from an average of 3 days in 1992, a month. That was my average, just starting out. And when I implemented that, and then I would get in my motorhome, right? And I would physically drive to Magic Mountain, to fairs. And they go, why didn't you call? I go, because if I'm looking to work here, I want to build something. I want to know, how can I give so much to you? Boom. They all hired. We went from 3 days to a full schedule. They all said it's going to take a minimum of 5 years before you can even remotely consider making $250,000 a year. I said, well, I'm glad you're telling people that because that's their belief. Within the first year, my first full year on the road, I made over 300 some thousand because I gave so much back. What's in it for you is not the question. What's in it for you will be tenfold when you over deliver what's in it for them. True greed isn't how much can you get a transaction. True greed is how can I contribute to a relationship that we all win, not selfishly, unselfishly. Now we can give to so many more people.
You mentioned how certain things are indicators that you don't believe in yourself. So I'm not bringing you on my show or whatever it is. So for those people that are realizing, hold on, this sounds like me. I don't think I believe in myself, but I don't know how to change it. Where do you recommend they start?
Get away from the people that are telling you not to believe in yourself. Divorce the ones that are in your life that are dragging you down so they could fit in with you, and engage with the people that will say you can do it. Your biggest, most powerful thing you have is your relationships and that proximity who you hang around. People that are broke will give you advice. People that are successful will give you experience. That's the difference. You hang around and listen to broke people, what are you going to get? Broke advice. Yeah, I'm going to listen. I have a really, my marriage is on the rocks. I think I'll go to the person divorced most that goes through bad relationships. That's the advice you're going to get. What are you going to get? Experience advice from bad people. The problem is 90 some percent of the people hang out with those that want to tear them down because you know why? If they give them advice that they haven't taken yet, like how to become more successful, they're going to go, well, why haven't you done it? If it's that easy, why ain't you done it? And so that they do is they bring them down and they justify. So they go, you know, my life's not that bad. I got a pretty good life. I'm better than most people. But okay, who you comparing yourself to? Jerry Springer people? You know, who are you going to compare yourself to? So what they do is they create a story for themselves that says their life is okay. It's not that bad. I'd like to make it. I can't take the risk. I got my family. The risk isn't in the investment. The risk is in the belief that you're going to follow through, surround yourself with the right people, and create a strategy and a structure that's going to get you to the level you need to be at. It's your relationship. Who are you relating to? You know, are you getting the information you want? If you don't get the right information, then you're going to get misinformation, right? So if you get no information, then what are you going to do? You're going to try to figure something out without any experience. But when you get the right information, you can make better decisions for yourself. Right information comes from experienced people that have done it. Do it wrong at first. Don't go all in with, you know, hey, I'm going to max out everything. You go in there and you learn from your mistakes. That's how you become creative. The greatest thing you could have happen to you is that things don't always go your way. The moment they always go your way, you'll never stop being creative. And you're, oh, no, everything's good. Don't want to mess it. No, it's not broken. Don't fix it. I understand that. And at the same time, how do you get to the next level? Because if you don't have the experience, like when you wanted to start your podcast, everything to be right, you got to go back and fix it anyway. Start it, learn it, and get people's experience, get their advice, not opinions. Advice is from experience. Opinions are from people that want to keep you down or they think they know on something they have no experience at. Then if they know, then why aren't they doing it themselves?
Yeah. I often tell people that, first of all, don't take advice from people whose lives you wouldn't want to trade with, at least in that area that they're giving advice. And second, don't take discouragement personally because it's just a little insight into the cage that they keep themselves in. And so, of course, they're going to project it out onto you.
Yeah. And they have programs. That's what I love about what I do. You know, I can reset a program in their subconscious mind that gets them to, they're going to take the action automatically. We are in reaction all the time. What I want to do is I want to get them to take new reactions, not motivate them, just new reactions. They get a result. The moment they get a result, their belief starts to change. The moment the belief starts to change, the patterns start to change. The patterns are what creates the right actions. We all have patterns. We want to create the right actions. I'm in the process of training car salesmen how to sell. And I asked him, I go, let me ask you, I said, how many, do you have people that come in training go, yeah, but they're really bad. Okay, so you're paying somebody to train you really bad. I said, yeah. I says, what's the first thing to tell you? You know, is under promise, over deliver. I said, that is the biggest crock of crap I ever heard in my life. And I explained why your brain does it. He goes, it makes sense. I says, what's the other thing that they tell you to do? Do, hey, what's it going to take you to get in this car today? That's the other worst thing you could tell somebody. If somebody tells that to you, what do you want to do? You want to go, oh, let me help you out here. No, you want to run from them. First thing you do is you tell them, listen, buying a car, my name is so-and-so, and Mark, thanks for being here at Chevrolet. Buying a car is a big decision for you and your family. It's a major decision. Are you opposed to looking at some things you may want to take home, going home, sleeping on it, making sure it's the right deal for you now, and then coming back and making sure that you're in the right vehicle? Would that be okay? Are you opposed to doing that? No, I'm not opposed to doing that. First thing I told them to do is don't buy it. So what do? They want to buy it.
Yeah.
Started training this guy. That afternoon, he went and sold a Corvette to somebody because he understood you have to make sure that they're going to get into it for the right reasons. Now, in all that saying, I did tell him, go home and think about it. You may want to go home and sleep on this tonight and then tell me about the car you really want now. So I'm using a lot of hypnotic embedded commands as well. But I'm training them what you want people to absolutely fall in love and not feel pressure to buy something. They want to chase you. You don't want to chase them.
Well, what since you have so much hypnosis understanding and how to mold the subconscious, how do you use that information to also create your own life? Like, what have you learned that has changed the way that you engage with your own dreams?
I realize what I really want in life and who I want to be around. So, and your life will always change, Melissa. When I first got into this, man, I couldn't wait, man. I mean, I'm driving a 944 turbo Porsche. I had a motor. I mean, it was great. And then I realized what's the point of all this? The older you get, the wiser you get, the less things you really want in life, the more you want to make a difference, you know? So your values and your things you want to go after changes for you. I love entertaining more than anything. But what drives me now is taking somebody that's stuck, helping them through a situation, through an intervention or get them the new mindset so they can be free and move forward. I focus on the end result. I focus who I want to surround myself with. I write it down. I take it from a thought to a pen so I could see it. I feel it and I embed it. I really think about what I want out of life. And I always say, no matter whatever person out there that I want to meet, there's nothing, nobody, nothing in this world that will stop me from meeting the person I want to be around. Period. If I see somebody and I want to meet them, I guarantee I'm going to put it out there one way or another. I always wanted to be, well, I'd love to meet Robert Kiyosaki and tour with him. That was the one thing I wanted to do, make it happen. Now I'm involved with him even more. Aspire Tour. When the Aspire Tour came, I was supposed to go to Thailand for another event. But when you put something out there, you also have to listen to what's in your gut. If you're going to put it out there, you're going to get certain answers in your subconscious, your intuition, your energy, whatever you want to call it, spiritual, whatever that word is that you want to use. Everybody gets a feeling, right or wrong. Do I go for this? Do I not go for this? And I remember that exact time, two events popped in the head. One, I was asked to go to the International Christian Film Festival and speak on their stage. 4,000 people there. The guy that was in the Passion of Christ was supposed to be there. Okay, I went to that event. There was 20 some people there. Nobody showed up. Didn't matter. The event that made a difference was the Aspire Tour came by. The Aspire is one of the largest tours out there. I've got friends. I've been to that event before when it was the Power Room. I've been to that event. I bought a VIP ticket. I'm not going to call my friends, hey, get me in here, you know. Or can you sneak me in? I don't want to do that, you know. I want to show up, step up, and let them know I'm here, and I'm not going to ask for something for free that I'm not willing to give way more than. So I bought the VIP ticket, and it was 2 years before that I was in the Power Room that I did the hypnosis show for them. I was with Rudy, the guy that made the movie Rudy, and they absolutely freaking were blown away. They wanted me on stages. They loved it. I remember getting a VIP room and we were having lunch with everybody. And I went up to Eddie and I said, Eddie, do you remember me? He goes, God dang, you look familiar. I said, well, think about it for a second. I says, Las Vegas. He goes, oh my God, Hypnotist. We have got to get you on our stages. We got to. And then he went to Andrew and Andrew goes, Hypnotist. Yep. Started exchanging phone numbers. I signed up for their 2 events. I made sure I went there. So I know their event is to join their mastermind is 50,000. But Andrew made one comment. He said, here's the deal. Anybody that joins this mastermind, you're going to get my personal cell phone number. That's all you needed to tell me. That's it. Done. Where do I sign? And I remember going there. Now I'm in touch with Andrew and I want to be on their events. Why? Not because I want to get paid from how much money. All speakers go, well, I could make money on this event. There's 3,000 people there. I could sell my stuff. I'll make money. I'm going there saying, you don't have to pay me. Let me show you how I could sell more of your 50 to 100. They have a 50 and 90 and a $200,000 program. Let me get in there. I'll do my show demonstration like I did in Mexico. I'll do that. And I promise you one thing, I will increase your sales. What if I only increase from 3 to 5 people at $50,000 a piece and you don't pay me? Now what's going to happen? You are going to become a raving fan of me. With your contacts, you can make a phone call to Tony Robbins, to Marcus Lemon, to Russell Brunson. Doesn't matter who it is. Now, when they say, who I need a killer speaker that can close, that can sell, who are you going to recommend? The guy that tried to take money out of your pocket or put, I don't know, $500,000 a month in your pocket? Why do I want to invest in this relationship? When I did the power room, it was a Vegas thing. I was already there. They go, come down and do the show. We'll give you $5,000. No problem. Did the show. I said, you ain't paying me a frickin' dime. The reason why is not only not paying me a dime, I want the relationship. You guys are trading different charities and things like that. 100% of the money goes to their charity. We want to donate $5,000 to the charity. And I didn't tell him I did that. He didn't need to know that. I promise you one thing. He probably knows I did that, but that's not why I did it. I did it because of this. I realized the value of where we are in life and what's the next level. And I remember Tony Robbins saying, if you're not willing to give 1,000 out of 100,000, you won't give 10,000 out of 1,000,000. And so I tell him, we'll give you $5,000. And that moment, Melissa, what happens is your mind plays tricks on you. It says, what could I have done with $5,000? Oh, I could have bought this. I could have done this. And then you go, wait a second. I just fed how many people? I just created a water supply for a village. Then it becomes contagious. And then it becomes where you can't stop doing it, where you want to do it. And you will receive more back by doing that because of what your intention is. These guys donate more money than most people make in their lifetime. That's the people I want to surround myself with. So why would I go in there? I'm investing in the relationship. You have to have the right mindset, not what's in it for you, what's in it for the other people. And when you do that, you'll have a raving, raving fan. When you have a raving fan, they want to brag about you. When they brag about you, people want you. And so that's how you build and get out of that mindset of you have these blocks. Always thinking about, people are judging me. What if I don't make it? What's in it for me? Stop thinking about what's in it for you. Start thinking about how you can serve other people. And at the same time, there'll be people that take advantage of that. So you got to have your gut feeling. That's where your intuition goes, something don't feel right. If it doesn't feel right, get away from it. If you don't believe in yourself, get away from yourself by stop listening to the people you surround yourself with. You can love them. Don't take their advice. Go surround yourself with the people that will give you great advice, and you're going to be intimidated by them. Allow that intimidation to fall into passion where you're going to make a difference with that information. That's how you get through it.
I can almost hear some people listening to this thinking, well, it feels like I'm going to need to spend a lot of money to buy new friends. What would you say to that?
Yeah, probably true. No. If you have to buy the friends, then that doesn't make sense. Surround yourself with people that'll make it. I'm going to tell you, successful people, if you're hungry and you just need someone to give you some help and advice, don't abuse their time, respect their time. And then when they give you advice, if you don't do anything with it, then why would somebody want to give you advice again when you're not even willing to do the small things? I got a guy right now that I'm coaching, and he's always, well, I always go this. He's like negative Nancy, but a man. I'm like, dude, frickin' shake it off, man. Well, should I do this? So he calls me often, and it's like, dude, you got to get out of your what when you get up in the morning. What do you do? I don't know. I go, that's a problem. You don't have a ritual. Create a ritual. Get up, pump yourself up. Imagine you're going to make $500,000 next year. Get in that frame. What would that feel like? Oh my God. I go, well, that's the attitude. You don't own it. So if you don't own it, why would it come to you? You got to own it before it's attracted to you. It's like you said, you want to start doing podcasts, and then a week later, whatever, this thing shows up. I promise you, it was always showing up. We didn't recognize it because we weren't attracted to it. We didn't bring it into our attention. Now that it's brought into our attention, we pay attention to the things that are surrounding us, that are getting us to the next level. The answers have been there. The opportunity has been there the whole time. It shows up differently because we don't speak that language yet. We got to learn to love that language of success. We got to learn to love the fact that we're creating new patterns. What's in it for them gets you what's in it for you. There's people I guarantee they don't even have it written down. What do they want? Why do they want it? Who's it for? If you don't get what you want, it's because you're focused on what you're not getting instead of what you can give. How many people can you influence and affect by you stepping up? How many people are going to listen to this podcast and do something different versus do the same thing? Most will go like this. Wow, Melissa's got a great podcast. I love it. What do you do with the information? They don't do anything. That's the standard. If you want to step up, you got to step up in your own way. You got to recondition the way you wake up. You got to wake up and celebrate the fact that you're on fire. Doesn't matter what you're going through. It matters where you're going in life. Because if you're going through those things every day, you're going to keep on going. They're going to keep getting that. And that's where you're going. But if you wake up with a new attitude and go, nothing's going to stop me, write down. I challenge people. Write down all the assets you have in life, all the relationships, all the things you know, all the things you're capable of doing. And if you got a check for $1 million, if you succeeded in 90 days and you knew you're going to get a check for $1 million, I promise you, I guarantee you, those people would be further ahead in life. But they waddle in the fact that, well, I don't know if it's going to make it. Really? Because you're distracted, your attraction, because you're attracted to the things you need to focus on. And you say, what if it doesn't work? Oh my God, I got to spend money. I got to put $3,000 on my credit card. You didn't question it. You went for it because you had a reason. You knew I'm not settling for 500. I'm going for the real deal. And when I'm there, my intention is to make a statement. Everybody's making a statement. You just got to make a good one. So if they knew they were going to get $1 million, Melissa, I promise you they would come with a new attitude. They would make it. And they wouldn't think about what they had to do or what they didn't have. They would figure out all the little things that they have in life, and they'd move forward with it because we all have assets.
I'm always surprised at what people are doing or not doing with their lives. To me, I've always looked at my life like a laboratory where we get to experience and express and continue to grow like I'm a character in a video game. And it blows my mind how many millions of people will sit there and say, but I don't have the time to do that, or like, I don't know if it's going to pay off. And so they won't do it because they're afraid that they can't make it pay off. But then they'll come home and they'll play a video game where they're literally never ever going to get paid and they're still putting in effort for like however many hours. And it's like, you can play The Sims, or you can just realize your whole life is The Sims and you can create wealth that's going to pay in more than pixels.
Because there's no risk in playing a video game, and people are afraid to risk. Because what if they risk it, doesn't make it, then all their friends or family are going to say, I told you so. I knew you couldn't. Why would you even risk that? So they play this in their mind. So what do? They become busy instead of being productive. I don't have time. That is the biggest lie that we could tell ourselves. If you don't have time, then you're micromanaging too much crap. If you don't have time and you're doing your own laundry and you're cleaning your own house and you're doing your own dishes, go hire somebody and pay them what they can do it so you can free up your time to make more money. You can't make $10,000 if you're working a $20 an hour job. So if you know you can make it if you had more time, then sub that stuff out. We don't do the things that we should do that normal people do when you have to create your time. When you need your time to invest to make more, then pay somebody for their skill to go do the things that pay you less. How much you get paid to do laundry? How much you get paid to clean your house? How much you get paid to mow your yard? How much you get paid for that? I can tell you what it costs you is all the time you could be investing in your business to move forward. Put the frickin' computer thing, that video joystick down. Because you know what? It ain't serving nobody. Unless you're a joystick programmer where you're selling it, then people find reasons and make excuses instead of standing up. Time, everybody has the time. If you don't think you have the time, then you're doing too many minimum wage work.
What do you tell someone who says they're too terrified of failing in front of others to go for their dreams?
Oh, first of all, everybody's afraid of that. That's a normal human behavior. What is your focus? Are you focused on the failure in front of others, or are you focused on what you want? Whatever focus you have on the front of your mind, that's where the energy is going to go. If you're so afraid of failing, don't even start, because you ain't going to make it. I'll tell you right now, if that's your primary thing, you ain't going to make it. Save yourself. Don't go get no damn credit card and put it on and invest in yourself, because you don't even believe in your own self. Go get yourself a hypnotist that's going to change that mindset. Once you change the mindset, now your fear isn't, well, I don't want to fail. Nobody starts a business that goes, I don't think this is going to make it. I think this is a bad business. Let me put some time and money into it. Nobody does. Yet some businesses do fail. But those that fail their business are not failures. They find a different business or a different way of doing it because they're not failure minded. People that are afraid to do anything are failure minded. That's their focus. What if I don't make it? You ain't got nothing there. You're probably already broke ass anyway. So why not try something else? I don't want to get in debt. No, you're not getting in debt and you're investing in yourself. Did you get in debt with the $3,000 or did you invest in yourself? There's the difference. The deal was you didn't go out there to buy new shoes. You went out there to get more strategies so you can structure your life differently. And boy, the 3,000, you sure didn't get that back. You got probably 10 to 100 times that back. That's the investor mindset. If you're afraid and you're going to focus on failure, you're right. Don't even do it. Find yourself a hypnotist and get out of that mindset. Surround yourself with different people.
When I put myself out there with my podcast, I was bold. I've always been a little more bold than the average person. But I also sort of realized I didn't want to be like the average person. And so knowing that, I knew, well, I can't do what everyone else is doing if I don't want to end up like them. And so I put myself out there, but what I verbally and online expressed was not that, hey, I'm starting this podcast so that I can make 6 figures a year and all of these things that at the time I had a lot of fear around. I hadn't proven to myself yet. And so when I was at home, yeah, I was writing my income goals and I was writing what the big dream looked like. But when I was putting it out there, I was just saying, I need some way to express my story. I need to make meaning out of everything that's happened to me. And that felt easier. And I did something similar when I was trying to figure out what my thing was. I sent emails to 11 different people asking, what do you see in me? What is my superpower if I had one? And I got this exercise from a different entrepreneur program 2 years before, and I was too embarrassed to actually do the exercise. I asked one person only, and I didn't get very much good feedback. But then 2 years later, I was at my wit's end. I was like, I'm just doing this. And so I blamed the course. I said, I'm in a course. They're challenging me to do this. So yeah, there's always ways to sort of make it a little bit more comfortable for you. And now I do things differently. I'm putting out there, I want my book to be a bestseller. I'm putting out my dreams in an even bigger way because I've developed evidence that I can, and it's becoming easier for me. But I had to start where I was, but that didn't mean in the zone of familiar. It meant what feels like a stretch to that version of me. That version of me has a different stretch level than this version of me, which has a much bigger level of risk taking, I suppose you can call it.
It's not that we don't have fear, Melissa. Everybody has fear. Fear is the thing. It's like having butterflies. Just control them. Teach them how to fly. But what you did is you didn't buy into your fear. You recognized it and you said, what do I need to do to get over that? I need to serve other people. You went right back into making sure you over delivered. I'm going to do things that I don't want to do. Okay, I can blame the course, but at least I'm getting it out there. So it allowed you told your mind, listen, you're telling me I can't do this. So I'm going to trick my subconscious mind and say, okay, it's the course's fault. So I need to ask 11 people. So you went out there and you kept going. You didn't buy into the fear. You challenged the fear and you knew once you got through it. Fear was because it's unfamiliar to you. You'd never done it before. It's not, it's just inexperience. That it's not the fact that you're not going to make it. It's just, you got to find reasons on what's going to make it even better than your expectation. Why don't you want to fit in? Because you're not about fitting in. You're about going above and beyond. So you do things that are uncomfortable to you to make sure that you get the result for the end user. Your focus wasn't about, I'm going to be embarrassed. Your focus was, I've got to give so much delivery, content, value that I'm going to overcome and I'm going to grow this thing. So what do I need to do? I need to do something that I'm not really comfortable with. I did it one time. Once time is not research, that's an opinion. So let me do it 11 times and get some real feedback so I can get a direction and get on this road and get off this path. I want to be on the road, not a path. I want to be on this road that I make sure I'm moving as fast as I can. Doesn't mean you don't have fear. You don't focus on your fear. You focus on what you want to deliver and your end result. Everybody has fear. Before I get in front of a crowd, I will have fear too. So I condition my mind and body to put myself in that frame, that state of mind. And I focus on as if I'm already done. What's the result? How are the people getting value? What could I say, do? What energy do I need to bring into myself? Because it's not about me. If I focus and think about my head and not come from the heart, you're going to try to think about what should I say or do that makes it so perfect. People won't judge me. No, when you come from the heart, you say, how can I deliver the most value to somebody? I know I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm going to make some mistakes, but I'm embarrassed because I don't know and I don't want to be judged. And I want to deliver. And that's the difference. People focus on how people are going to view them instead of the results they want. You focus on the results that you want. And you set your fear, you freeze it, and then you go about your business. So when the fear thaws out, it goes away.
Earlier, you said how so often people will listen to all of this good content and then you ask them, well, what are you going to do with it? And they have no idea, which is why I like leaving people with one thing to ground some of this stuff into the reality, whether it's to think about or to do for the week. What would you leave them with?
No matter what it is, exactly what you said. When you have something you desire, write it down and take some action, no matter how small it is. A phone call, a commitment, get that momentum because your thoughts will be come and go and they'll be overridden by, oh, I got to do this first. And you'll create an excuse and a reason why you can't because you don't have the time. As soon as I get this done, once I get this done, I'm doing it. I'm all in. No, you ain't going to ever be all in. The moment you see it, you recognize it, you write it down, you move forward to it, you commit to it, and you do something. That moment, as soon as you get it done, what can you do? I don't care if it's order a magazine, make a phone call, commit to something, and then that is your main focus, is create that. That will break the pattern of procrastination, and that'll override the fear because the more you get the results, the more the fear goes away. And it goes from fear to you absolutely know and believe you're going to get the result now. Now you've got the confidence. Now you got the connections. And then you'll start attracting the right things into your business, into your mind that will give you the opportunity that you couldn't even see before because you haven't had the experience or the exposure. It's just like when you started your podcast, you wanted to make it perfect and they got to redo it. Every business is like that, whether it's hypnosis, real estate, speaking, IT, podcasting, you've got to go through that. But you know what? When you go through that, That's when you're most authentic. And that's when people look at you and go, wow, they made mistakes just like me. I can make mistakes and still move forward and be successful. That's when you're more influential than you ever think. Not the polished person. How many people are intimidated by somebody like, Tony Robbins or something? Why? Because they've perfected it. But when you first start out and you make some mistakes and then you own them, I was just watching last night the thing about Muhammad Ali, and he would always go on this talk show after he lost a fight. And he said, you know what? People always do this. They want to challenge and blame somebody. Man, it was rigged. It was wrong. It was wrong. The ref cheated me out of this. He goes, nobody cheated anybody. The bottom line is you lost. You can own your loss and still say, how do I become better so it doesn't happen again? And that's why Muhammad Ali was so respected. He would get on there after every fight, if won or lost, and he would own it. I wasn't prepared. He hit harder than I thought. I didn't see it coming. I should have practiced more, but I know what I'm going to do different next time. See, that's the experience. And why did people love him? Why did they love him more than anything else? Is it because he was good at boxing? No, he related. People could say he still made a mistake and owned it. I made a mistake. It's embarrassing getting your ass kicked in front of the whole world after you've bragged about how you're going to whip his ass. Man, Joe Frazier, he ain't got nothing on me. And he said, man, he hit him so hard, he still can't talk right. He said, but I respected the man, and he was better than I thought. And I underestimated. Now I know what I'm going to do different next time. Because that mistake, but owning it, being vulnerable is where you will build, because you'll connect with people that say, I don't want to make a mistake and people are going to judge me. No, they're going to love you. They're going to stop judging themselves so harsh, and they're going to allow them to move forward because of you, because you're vulnerable. That's the truth. So in the beginning, when you don't know what you don't know, but you can say, hey, I'm going to improve it each time, that's when people start falling in love with you. And that's when you can give them a chance to make it too.
Well, for listeners who are pumped up after this conversation and they want to know where to find you, where's the best place to connect?
Sometimes in Phoenix or in Vegas. Just come on, check it out.
Just walk around the strip eventually.
No, they can go to my website, which is successcombination.com, or YouTube. Google my name, Mark Yuzuik. It's weird. Yuzuik, kind of weird. But if you Google Hypnotist, Mark, Orange County Fair, San Diego Fair, whatever, I'll pop up. I mean, I've got 7 terabytes on Vimeo. We got a YouTube channel, Facebook. It pops up pretty quick.
Your challenge for this week is to write down one thing you want and take some action on it today. I don't care if that action item is doing a little research, making a phone call, signing up for something that scares you a little. Mark said it perfectly. No matter how small it is, get that momentum, because your thoughts will come and go and they'll be overwritten by excuses. The moment you see it, you recognize it, you write it down, and you move forward. It breaks the pattern of procrastination, and it starts building evidence that you are someone who follows through. And this might sound like something that you can't necessarily keep up with, but I promise you, you can. I have become one of those people, and sometimes I actually look at the way that I manage things in my life, and I'm blown away compared to how I used to be. I take action right away, and I absolutely know that is why my dreams are coming true so rapidly. But here's what I love about Mark's message from a consciousness perspective. He is living proof that when we stop waiting for external permission, we start co-creating with life itself. So every time that he chose trust over fear, or service over self-protection, he was literally upgrading his frequency and expanding what was possible. So it's not just personal development. It's more like a spiritual technology. When we heal our relationship with uncertainty and step into our power, we're not just changing our own reality, we're shifting the collective field, creating new possibilities for every single person around us. So your willingness to act before you feel ready becomes a sort of like sacred activism, showing other people what's possible when we trust the intelligence of life moving through us. So give it a try and let me know how it goes. You can find me at mindlovemelissa on Instagram, and you can find all of the links from this episode at mindlove.com/413. I also want to mention that Story Love 2.0 is launching live one more time. It's official. This is the method I created to help you find your signature story and use it strategically. So not just to inspire you to move with purpose, which is what it does, but it's also for business, for visibility, for impact. The students from round one were at every level, some years into their business, some just getting started. And I can tell you that those that were just getting started felt like they had just skipped years of the process because they not only understood what their unique way of serving was, but they also had all of their business assets created, from that signature story for pitching yourself, actual pitch content, about pages, Instagram bios. This is an extremely comprehensive program. And as a little side piece nugget, I don't know where that phrase came from, but you will also leave being 100 steps in the use of AI above most people using it. I swear most people are using it wrong. And so you're going to have an understanding with it that's going to set you up for the future of online everything. So if you've been feeling like life is nudging you towards something a little bit bigger, maybe this is the moment you start answering back. Reach out to me if you have a hunch that this is for you, and we'll hop on a call. And don't forget to sign up for the Morning Mind Love at mindlove.com, where you'll also get updates about Story Love, or text the word morning to 33777. Thanks for giving your mind a little love today, and I'll see you next week.